you were bigger and stronger than everyone else. Well, I'm not sure it's everyone else, but thank you. That's quite a comment. Uh, the reason, other than the spiritual side, is because you don't know much about what other people in general were saying or doing regarding training. Good observation, my friend. You're wise. What are your tips for someone who wants to rid and shield themselves from negative groupthink of the weak-minded people who seem to have flooded the lifting community? Well, the intro to today's Q&A is a pretty good example. You need to believe in yourself and love yourself and understand that if you're ever going to make a net positive difference in this world, you can't let the guilt trips and the lies and the small-minded, weak, shitty, talk you out of who you are thinking of the parasitic, weak, downtrodden garbage on this planet who chooses to be that way and pulls everybody as hard as they can towards lower vibration all the time. Burn it away, man. Shine even brighter until that shit can't even be in your presence, okay? That's the truth. And don't apologize for it. The universe, the creator, nothing real is apologizing for this, okay? But liars and parasites and garbage will try to make you feel bad when you're doing things to improve the planet and yourself because they are unwilling. They don't have the courage, discipline, vision, character, nothing. They don't have anything, apparently, that they're willing to make something better out of themselves. And that'll change eventually in this life or some other eventually. Everyone, every soul eventually gets tired of being a pathetic piece of shit and makes something out of itself. So it doesn't matter. But in your case, in this life, to those of you that are hearing this and feeling the power, understand that this is aggression, not hatred. When the little negative trolls come along and say, you're negative because you said a cuss word, you're negative because you're scary, blah, blah, blah. That's projection because all they are is negative. That's why their life doesn't amount to shit except using up other people's resources and complaining and acting like they're entitled handouts. And no matter how many handouts you ever give an empty piece of shit like that, they only end up feeling worse about themselves and complaining and being even more bitter and petty and hateful because they've never done what it is to be a sentient, living, conscious human. They've never taken advantage of the opportunity here. The opportunity here is to better yourself, not to complain to others that they owe you something like a fucking tapeworm. So much love to you. Awesome question. It's about centering yourself, understanding that you are from the great all that is. You are a creator, just like the source of all of this. And what type of light you choose to be in this world, what you see missing from this world that you recognize within you it could use a lot more of, simply be the source of it. Yes, you will attract opposition, you will attract a certain amount of garbage and darkness that's just there to show you everything you're not, so that you can more clearly define what you are. Okay? That's why I appreciate the troll shit garbage, to make these perfect examples for everybody to look at and understand. Life is about you deciding what you are. That guy showed us what he is. The rest of you, by not taking what I said as an insult and being inspired by it, you showed me what you are. So when I go on a rant about trolls and babies and weaklings and parasites and all this shit, it doesn't apply to those of you that it doesn't. It's just to weed out the fucking garbage so we can keep the cancer out of our system and have less distractions as we expand. Now, a lot of the trolls, what they say is so fucking unintelligent it's not worth responding to. It's laughable. Even these 13-year-olds that he thinks he's making fun of can see that. But if one of these fucktards says something that I think might actually discourage some of you that are about to expand yourselves into world-changing fucking real people that are worth something, I'm just going to burn that fucking cancer away. And the harder it squirms against me, the harder it gets burned, and the uglier it gets for that ugly little tapeworm. So that's my answer. Much love to you, friend. Believe in who you are. You're right. Look inside yourself and know that you are right. And this world will lie to you constantly and tell you you're not. Tell you not to be the light you are. The world is wrong. You're right. You've come here to be a light in the midst of darkness. So be it, my friend. And anybody that says otherwise, they're just wrong. Live at a higher truth. Live at an inner truth. Shine bright and don't let them talk you out of doing it just because they can't tolerate the light. Let them crawl away to a dark hole of slimy, candida-infected, hate-filled fucking victims somewhere, and they can all huddle together like vipers in a cold pit of fucking misery. Be the light, be the star. Shine even bigger and brighter. The answer is always expand even further, my friend. Much love and respect to you. Next question. Honest thoughts on marijuana and alcohol. Honest thoughts. Well, there's a lot of different thoughts I could have. Those two things are very, very different to me. Alcohol, numbs pain. It helps you escape. how you feel. It helps you feel uninhibited. It's generally pretty toxic to the system, so I don't encourage alcohol use. I don't judge anybody for it. I used to have very serious drinking problems a long time ago. When I existed in the negative bullshit lies of this world, I drank myself unconscious to escape how bad I felt for a long time, to be honest with you. But now I have zero interest in alcohol because it's just a shitty low vibration compared to where I am. So I can tell you from personal experience and consciousness changing over time, when you need alcohol to feel better, it's because you need a lot of clearing of negative energy in your life. You need a lot of healing. You need a lot of centering and balancing. You need a much better philosophy and view of yourself so that you won't be hurt all the time emotionally by all the bullshit, lies, and crap you've been taught about yourself by this world. So no judgment against alcohol. That's the way I see it. It helps us escape from this reality to some degree when it's hurting too much. It can be kind of fun, but I can promise you when you get to a high enough vibration, being drunk on alcohol is actually a less fun state of consciousness than where I am now normally, okay? Now in marijuana, this is very much to do with a person's individual awareness and consciousness. A lot of people are sheep group thinkers, and they believe that marijuana is just some fuck-off drug that you do just to fuck off, and so that's all they get out of it. They sit on the couch, they eat junk food, they watch TV, they have empty heads. Other people recognize that it's a teacher plant, and they access tremendous knowledge from it. And other people fall everywhere in between on that spectrum. I can't tell you who you are. I can tell you that these natural mind-enhancing plants on the planet were put here by beings more intelligent than humans, but that doesn't mean all humans are mature or ready enough within themselves to use these teacher plants. And that's trailing off into metaphysics, and again, I don't want to upset anyone who finds that threatening. You might want to go over to my metaphysical channel and see channeled information. I know that there's been some on marijuana that was quite illuminating. I don't think we've had alcohol yet over there, but you're entitled to post anything on the Q&As over there and get answers from a place much wiser than me, if you're interested. Those are some of my basic honest thoughts on that. Much love. Next question. What's the simplest way to recomp? Well, for me, after 21 years of doing different things, yes, I've done bulks and cuts and everything in between before. To me, a recomp is all about just dialing in your diet to be a little better for you. You don't even have to change your workouts. I would say that recomping, for me anyway, is 80% diet, 20% workouts. There's been times where I put in hours and hours and hours of extreme cardio every day and I was only getting fatter because of what I was eating. There's been other times where I hardened up and leaned out, got more vascular, kind of like I'm doing right now, just from dietary changes for the most part, okay? I know you can't see that right now, and I'm not revealing it yet because I want my next update to have more difference between the last one, okay? But anyway, recomping is about dialing in what your body digests efficiently. And again, plant-based digestive enzymes, if you look up Vince Gironda, you'll understand that he understood. They burn off extra fat and they help you assimilate and use protein better and have higher energy. They make your metabolism more efficient. You utilize nutrients more efficiently, which means more of it goes to what you want and less of it gets left over as fat. So that's something to think about. Much love, my friends. Next question. Any biohacking tricks for getting strong as fuck and big naturally? Yeah. Tons, but they wouldn't really be welcome on this channel. This is what got me in trouble before. So go, and Christos, I know, I'm pretty 99% sure you're probably already aware of my metaphysical channel because you and I have been in contact for a while now. But if not, go over there and put that on the Q&As over in there, where you can get some real deep insights and stuff that's real mind expanding on that, okay? Much love, my friend. Okay, but to leave it, simple so I won't get in trouble here. People have heard it all throughout forever, and they like to repeat the phrase, mind over matter, but nobody believes it really or uses it, right? I believe you guys on this channel are the exception. That's what we're attracting here. You attract what you emit. So that's what's forming here. So in your case, to understand that if you'll free your mind from every damn thing it's been taught in this world, you'll find that you're much more expansive and capable than what you were told. Period. It's a matter of stripping away all the illusions that are in the way. It's not something you're going to force something upon yourself to where you become, like some discipline that if you work hard enough at it, suddenly you're going to have it. This is more a matter of stripping away all the bullshit that's in the way. of your mind actually experiencing how expansive it really is. And the body follows the mind. The mind is the builder of the body. Your cells are listening to every single word you say and your thoughts. And that's what's reconstructing their reality over time. Okay? So thought control, thought focus, understanding that you're manifesting through your thoughts and feelings and being mindful of that. Okay? That's how you become more and more empowered and start having more and more effect on your own DNA. I won't go any further before some red flags start freaking out some people that are still too stuck in textbooks written by nerds who know nothing about real life. Okay. Next question. And nothing wrong with people that write textbooks. Again, if that doesn't apply to you, it doesn't. There's nothing wrong with books in general. I'm just saying there's a certain amount of shit out there that's real limiting. And you guys know what I'm talking about. Best exercises for grappling strength. Well, the very best is grappling. But of course, overall in grappling, the things that will fatigue usually and most people the hardest and give out first, shoulders, sometimes upper legs, hips area, and core. Some people just they don't realize that their core strength is the reason they're not as strong of a wrestler as the next guy. You may have bigger arms and legs, but you may get out wrestled by somebody with a stronger core. So very generalized information, have a very strong core, have very high shoulder endurance, and upper leg, thigh, hip endurance, okay? Because those things can get real fatigued if you're grappling with somebody real intense. And when your shoulders get too tired to hold up your arms and block things and shit, you're in real trouble. So also the neck, okay? You'll have people hanging on your neck doing everything they can to break it and wear it down. You need a lot of neck strength and endurance to be a grappler. Grip's a big deal. Sometimes the difference between winning and losing is when that guy's able to worm his wrist out of your grip, and that costs you the fight or the match or whatever it is we're talking about here. So grip strength, okay? So when you clamp onto that dude's wrist, that hand don't get free to fight you anymore. You got it where you want it. So those are the basics, the big things to train for extra strength for transitioning into being a better grappler. It's what comes to mind right off the top of my head from experience. Next question. What programs do you recommend for beginner, intermediate, and advanced lifters looking for strength and hypertrophy? Well, for beginners and intermediate, I'm always going to recommend people like Alex from Alpha Destiny. I mean, he has set up everything you need to progress through a variety of, from beginner to, I'm not sure how advanced his training programs take it, but I've looked them over and they've got you covered in every basic way. Now, like I always say, as an individual, there's always some more optimal way to train, but the truth is, until you become a lot more advanced in your knowledge of your own body and mind and everything, you're not going to know what that is. So I'd recommend that, and maybe you're already following it, but see, I don't design beginner programs or intermediates. I never had one. I never had any of that, so I have no business. I have no experience with it. I didn't even know there was categories and systems for these different terms for where you're at with your lifting. I've been on my own all this time, and now I'm advanced, and I can't tell you, here's the systems I followed to get here, because there were none. I've been creatively, wildly fluctuating through all different kinds of things over the years, and this is where I'm at now. So what I tend to be good at is taking custom challenges for an individual and laser focusing how I would go about achieving that custom thing. What I'm not good at is giving basic programs for people, because I never had any. Okay, so I got to go with Alex. Big time. He's my main reference that I'm aware of who writes really good programs to get people from total noob to probably pretty advanced, where you're ready to branch out on your own and be a damn master if you progress through all his programs, from what I can tell. Okay, but again, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm the authority on things that I'm not, because I don't have the experience. I don't fake people like that. I don't take credit for other people's ideas. I don't act like I'm, something I'm not, and then just copy others so I can have more, whatever. So, in all honesty, that's what I'd recommend. I love that. I love Alex's channel and several others I mentioned yesterday, and I'm sure there's other good ones out there some of you guys are pointing out to me that I can find a lot of things to appreciate about too. But you can't go wrong with Alex, okay? So that's what I'd recommend. Alpha Destiny. He's going to get you from beginner to probably advanced if you follow his programs. And if it gets to a point where you're ready to do something really custom or unusual or whatever, that's what Another Better upgrades are for, is You know, give me an unusual, very personalized challenge, and I'll give you 21 years of experience and research and all these things on how I would go about doing exactly that challenge, okay? Achieving exactly that specific goal. Everybody's got their place. That seems to be what I'm offering to the scene right now. But as far as what's going to work more for more people to get them more overall gains and further on their journey from start to well advanced on their path, you know, I'd highly recommend Alex for that, you know. Hopefully that makes sense, you know. And I'm sure he has advanced things too. You know, I'm not saying the guy doesn't have advanced custom programs. I wouldn't underestimate Alex on anything. I'm just saying that my little niche over here is what it is, and I'm not the guy who knows how to program for beginners to get you to somewhere near where I am. I don't even know how to do that, because I did it all just by heart and experimentation, you know, over the years, by myself. And apparently I surpassed a lot of numbers and big things out there because I didn't know, and I didn't care, and I wasn't comparing myself to anybody else. So, you know, that's my 2 cents. I'm not going to pretend to be the expert on things I'm not. Okay, you mentioned that you never really followed a program. Quite appropriate. Even when you were at your strongest. When you were at your strongest in the squat, bench, press, and deadlift, how often did you train those lifts? Seems to be more to your question. How much volume each on every average per week? How often did you train a body part in general? A body part. How often did you train a body part in general? Okay, well, let me start with, let's take one of those lifts. And I did them similar when I was getting strong. All 3 of those things, it was similar. How I do it is very low volume and very right to the point. If I want my bench press to be stronger, let's say, what I'll do is I'll put more weight, I'll warm up a little so I don't tweak anything, and then I'll put more weight. Well, I don't do this anymore because I don't do standard bench, but this is the principle I use many times. I would put more weight than what I could currently bench, maybe 20 pounds more or something, and I would lift it off the pins, and then I would lower it a little bit and hold it there in a static contraction as hard as I could until I slowly lost it on a negative, and I'd fight that negative as hard as I could. Then I'd re-rack it, and I would do this maybe anywhere from 2 to 4 times, and that's it. And I would do that about once a week, and that's it. And during that time, sometimes I might have a volume day the next day on chest, and other times I would not. Me personally, I find that very specifically training for strength on a single rep max, my best way to do that is to be very specific. Now, I don't know for sure that that's what works best for everyone. Again, I haven't followed programs. I haven't seen how different programs work for building power on things. And I've heard all kinds of different ideas out there, and I can't tell you whose idea works the best. For you, I can just tell you what I did. So same with squats. I would take more weight than I could squat. I'd set up the safety pins. I'd take it off the pins, and in squats I might do like 100 extra pounds, and then hold it and start lowering it down a few inches and hold it, lower it down, and then fight that negative as hard as I could until it hits those pins. Then re-rack it, which in the case of the squat you might have to drop a few plates to re-rack it, right? And then I'll do that 2 to 4 times, maybe once a week. In some cases, once every 2 weeks, and I still got stronger, okay? Because again, I don't adhere to these fear-based concepts that if you're not doing it often enough, you're losing everything, okay? Again, go look at Bastion Head, another guy that impresses me and I like to reference because he's doing his own thing and he's shown how long rest periods after super high intensity training gets shit done. The problem is most people suck at HIT because they don't have the pain tolerance to actually make that one working set truly fucking brutal, so you give the message into your nerves and muscles, hey guys, you gotta get bigger and stronger. That's why most people fail at HIT. You're just pussing out on that main set. You're not up to the mental toughness and the pain tolerance, but you can be. You just have to understand that's what it's all about. Volume's entirely different. So, for me, getting strong at a 1 rep max of anything, that's how I did it. Super simplified, super basic. Now, other days, instead of skipping straight to negatives, I would simply work up to my 1 rep max. And if it was even a pound heavier than last time, this is what I would tell my muscles. Here's my little game that I would play with my muscles. I'd say, all right, muscles, we're going to bench at least a pound more than we did last time. And if you do that, we're done with the workout. I'll stop right there. And we can take the rest of the day off or go do other workouts or whatever we want. And that way my body knew that it had a reward mechanism. Like, if I can just hit this lift a little heavier than last time, we get to have an easy day today and feel good about ourselves. And if we didn't hit the lift, I went, fine, we'll put some of these heavy negatives on now. We are going to stimulate some strength increase today one way or another. So that was another method I used. If I was able to hit a higher 1 rep max than last time, done. Because obviously it's working. And oftentimes that would work. Several weeks in a row I'd hit a higher 1 rep max than last time. When it didn't, then I would resort back to hitting a couple heavy negatives to really dig into the nerves and muscles and say, guys, it's time to get bigger and stronger. No way around it, because we're going to be dealing with this much weight, okay? So build what you got to build to do it. You know, when your muscles have felt more weight on them, then your body starts calculating what it's going to need to actually handle that, and it starts implementing it, okay? So super basic, super simplified, that's how I did it, all right? Now, how much okay, I think I covered how much volume and how often. Now, during those times, I was training my other muscle groups in a bodybuilding type way. As you guys know, as I said yesterday, I never hit my big three standard 3 powerlifting total numbers at the same time. So it doesn't count as a 2100 or whatever you guys were calling it, because I never trained at powerlifting. You have to do all 3 of those things. You have to wrap all your training around those 3 lifts. I would never do that to myself. What I would do if I got into one of them, which would usually be squats or bench, once I discovered a trap bar deadlift, I quit doing regular deadlifts a long ass time ago, so I never took that as far as I could, and I just don't care. I find a trap bar deadlift to build more muscle and be more functional and just plain better. But every so often I would start to like squats again or bench, and then I would put one of those numbers higher, but the rest of my training was all still bodybuilding. I was still building mass and a physique that I liked with all my other workouts during that time. I was just taking one lift and dedicating it to 1 rep max strength. And that's why the volume was so low and it was so focused on that one goal. Okay? And then after I achieved a big number that was my goal and I felt good, then I'd go back to bodybuilding on that body part, and I'd pick some other body part to go for a 1 rep max. I'm almost always doing this. I'm almost always using at least one lift and pushing my max strength on it higher and higher and higher. And then I switch it and I go back to training those muscles in a more bodybuilding fashion for mass, and then I pick a different muscle group or lift to push to my 1 rep max strength. This way, I'm always improving my physique at a fast rate, so I satisfy the bodybuilder artist side of myself, but I also get to satisfy that brute strength, let's lift something phenomenal thing. But I couldn't give a shit less about the standard 3. There's other lifts that are just so much more exciting to me, and a lot of them you can lift more total weight. So, you know, that's the way I'm doing it, but I'm still applying the same principles that I did when it was standard bench, when it was standard squats. Now, back in the day of the deadlift, I don't think I did anything that intelligent. I just brute forced my way up to about 7+ at one point with horrible form. I frequently tweaked muscles in my lower back. It was retarded. Progress was slow. It was ugly. To me, it's the most dysfunctional. It shouldn't even be called a lift. You look like a spaz idiot even doing that lift. It doesn't symbolize anything that's natural to the human body. So eventually I found a trap bar and I felt what a real deadlift, what it feels like to really be able to lift weight in an intelligible way that isn't the most awkward, ridiculous thing on your physique you've ever heard of. I could build more mass, I could lift more, it made me more functional, and I didn't tweak my lower back all the time because it wasn't a retarded, dysfunctional angle of lift. So, yeah, I can't tell you on deadlift, but I can tell you that's how I got my squat and deadlift numbers as high as I did. Okay? Very simply. And that's pretty much the general idea how I still get stronger at 1 rep stuff. Low volume, right to the point, very specific, and I'll include heavy overload negatives to make sure my nervous system and muscles get the idea, hey guys, we got to get ready to lift heavier weight than we ever have before here. And they do. All right. Next question. How do you these are lining up in such a cool synchronicity here. How do you lift such heavy weight and not have bulging discs, etc.? I squatted and deadlifted heavy and stopped because of spine problems. Yeah, good idea. In fact, I am really surprised that more people haven't really messed up their spines with what they call the conventional deadlift. There are people whose physiques line up okay on a conventional deadlift. They're not at high risk for this. Most people, like I said, it's a very awkward, very uncoordinated, very not natural lift for the body. I'm sure there's people that have ruined their spines deadlifting 200 pounds just because it's a ridiculous position to be in. And if you don't have the right tension in those discs, one's going to slip out the other side. You know what I mean? So now, how have I done it? Since I was a kid, I have been of the mindset and also the lifestyle to make my bone structure, my tendons, everything about me is physically strong and high in integrity and injury proof as possible. So my mentality, again, your body listens to how you think. My body has become tougher and tougher and tougher and tougher over the years. But there's also actions, supplements, and things that, you know, combine and correspond with that. If you want to consult me privately about healing and regenerating and stuff like that, Nether Better upgrades are great for that. We can work personally. I can get to know your situation a little better and put myself in your shoes and say, okay, here's my action plan. If I was dealing with that disc issue, here's what I would do. Okay? So that's an option. But it's a pretty individual thing. You know, I need to get to know you a little better, understand your mindset, your training, your diet, your age, your body type, your this, your that, so forth. And then I can hone in a little better on things I believe that'll be a little more directly beneficial to you as an individual. But to me, because of the lifestyle I've always lived, physical integrity of not being torn apart easy is very important. And even the times when I have torn tendons and broken bones, they heal back stronger than they were, okay? Because I make sure my system has the right mindset and the right nutrients in it to weld things that have been broken stronger than ever, okay? I don't think I've ever slipped a disc as far as I know. I don't feel like I have any spinal issues, but I've sure as hell pulled a lot of muscles and tendons running up and down along the spine, doing ridiculous damn deadlifts, that's for sure. My legs are the length of someone who's like 6'6", and my upper body's the length of someone who's like 5'10", okay? So that averages me out to 6'2". Now, I don't know that this applies to everybody, but for me, the normal deadlift is just the most... I brutishly lifted quite a bit of weight, but every time I did it, I could just feel that I was just asking for trouble. It was just a stupid lift for my spine and tendons and everything else. So if I didn't have such a big, strong spine and all these things, I probably would be crippled from that sorry shit. So anyway, again, unless you compete in powerlifting, there are lifts that will make you stronger. There are lifts that will make your muscles bigger. There are lifts that you can do bigger and stronger and muscles bigger with way less injury, you know. Just bringing that up again. Again, no disrespect to powerlifters. You don't have a choice. You have to compete at the standard deadlift. I get it. But for the rest of us, why subject yourself to that shit when there's better things you can be doing, you know? So how, that's it. It's a mindset. It's doing everything along over the years to make sure my structural integrity and my bones and tendons is as strong as possible. Like I said, I have thousands of hours of research, paper understanding, and so forth, and I can work with you individually if you really have an issue you'd like to work on there. This goes for anybody. Nether Better upgrades are for health conditions, mentality changes, training programs, specific goals. Guys, all the stuff I go over, I don't care what it is. If it's related at all, another better upgrade applies. Just so you know, I'm not trying to sell as many of these as I can. Sometimes I actually feel overwhelmed with how many are going on, but I'm just being real here. Just so you know, that's an option. I do work with people on injury rehab, and to me that's a really rewarding thing to do. I've had to rehab plenty of injuries and sore spots and arthritic things and all kinds of locked up crap on myself over the years, and right now my joints, tendons, bones, and everything are in the very best health, strength, integrity they've ever been in, by far. So you can have that reality too, if you believe you can and if you're open to it. It is possible, just so you know. Let me know where we go from there. All right? Next question, guys. Much love. Thoughts on pornography, masturbation, addiction, and each one done alone, and how much is too much? Well, my personal thoughts on this are probably not wise or not any holy grail of anything, really. There's been a few times in my life, mostly when I was younger, that I don't know if I wouldn't say I was addicted to pornography, but I noticed it was starting to appear in my mind and make me think about it, like, oh, you better go look at more porn, right? And that's when I realized I didn't like it. I was like, this is distracting me. I'm starting to see these pornographic images in my head when I'm not thinking about that. I'm trying to do other things. So I decided, you know what? This is me at a young age. I decided, you know what? When it comes to me jerking off, I'm just going to use my own mental fantasy powers and build my somehow I knew that building that was a good idea. Rather than watching some action thing on a screen, I'm going to use my own fantasizing power. And honestly, I think that was a constructive use because I can create a very lucid sexual fantasy in my mind. In fact, I don't know why I'm revealing this on this channel, but you know, it's kind of no holds barred, so why not? I used to practice, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, and there's probably a name for this out there, but I was a really fucking horny teenager, okay? My sexual energy was like 10 times as high as a normal person. So I would sit there and practice laying perfectly still and not moving my body, not touching myself, and fantasizing so hard that I would finally have an orgasm. And I made this work a bunch of times. And I found out that I was unusual when I asked other guys if they had ever done such a thing. But hey, that's old news now. I know I'm really fucking unusual. So you asked and I'm answering. You know you're going to get a unusual answer coming from me, right? Now at this point in my life, I'm so busy with other things. Honestly, human sexuality, it's not one of my more important priorities. As a really horny youth, I found it very frustrating and miserable, to be honest with you. And now I've learned how to direct all that energy into other things. It's helped me with certain spiritual abilities and other things that apply to my other channel. Here's the thing, guys. When it comes to any addiction, like say pornography or masturbation or whatever you're dealing with, understand that whatever you resist persists. If you feel like, oh shit, like you judge yourself, there's something wrong with me and I got to stop this, you're just getting snagged into it deeper, trust me. The way to let go of it, if you want to, is to let it be a no big deal. First of all, stop judging yourself. Who cares? Who cares how much porn you've looked at? Who cares? It didn't change anything in this world, okay? It's not a problem. If you would like to be free of it, just don't give it any power. Don't feel like you have to fight it. If it comes up and you know you find yourself looking at porn, just go, okay, this is still happening, but I'm feeling less resistant. I'm feeling less afraid of it. I'm realizing that I am going to be able to let this go because it's really not that big a deal. And you'll find that when you reduce that resistance, you stop struggling. I like to use the parable of, because I'm really into nature and animals and stuff, and I don't know how many of you guys have seen this, but in rutting season or whatever they call it, when the two elks, the male elks, they always fight with their horns. And unfortunately, sometimes their horns become interlocked and then they both end up dying because they can't get free of each other. That's what addictions are. The harder you think you have to fight against an addiction, the more entangled you get in it. And it wears you down and it possesses you and it gets you because you're giving it a lot of power. So don't struggle with it. Don't judge yourself. Who gives a shit? It's not a big thing. And if you choose to not judge yourself when those thoughts and feelings come up, or even you go through the action or whatever, if you don't invest so much, oh, I fucked up, you know, don't even think that. You didn't. Who cares? Don't give it any power. And you'll find that it gets a lot easier to let go of things when you stop thinking they're a big deal anymore, okay? And be patient with yourself. Maybe you'll let go of it by tomorrow. Maybe it'll take 5 years. Who gives a shit? Whatever your process is, it's fine, all right? Just know that you can let go of things, and the easiest way to let go is to not struggle, okay? That's another metaphysical truth, and it's expanded upon a lot bigger on the other channel for those of you interested. All right, much love, my friend. Next question. What's your opinion on full body workouts 4 to 5 times a week for naturals? Well, my opinion is you got to observe your body. You got to observe your results. Are you liking the results? Is it getting you where you want to go? Some naturals are going to have enough recovery capacity to make productive gains 4 to 5 times a week full body. Now, I don't know what kind of full body you're doing. I don't know if some of those days are high rep lightweight. I don't know if it's all HIT. There's a lot of different ways you could be doing full body 4 to 5 days a week. But there's no rule against it. Let me tell you that. As you guys know, I work out 7 days a week. Now, I have light days where I just do arm feeders here and there when I'm feeling run down or beat up or whatever. So I instinctively have very light days mixed in. But I don't have rules like, oh, you're a natural. You're limited to 3 days a week or else it's too much. You may find you're the kind of person who responds best to 1 day of training every 2 weeks and gets mad gains. You may find you're the kind of person who responds best to training twice a frickin' day, you know? So I don't have any rules, man, for it or against it. All you can do is observe your own progress and decide if it's serving you well. All systems out there, every training system is right for somebody. It's like musical frequencies, okay? You're vibrating a certain musical chord. If you find a training system that its musical chord is in harmony with yours, it's going to be good. If they're playing in a different key than you, it's not going to work that well for you. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that system. It's just that it's not compatible with you right now. It's not harmonizing with you. So in and of itself, that's all I can say about the general concept of 4 or 5 times a week for naturals. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. I'm sure there's many ways it could be great. It could be detrimental. It's all in who you are and how you're using it, my friend. So if you want to get a little more specific, I could have more to possibly say to you there. Next question. What do you think about image streaming? Now this is probably why I should probably pre-read these. My friend, I don't even know what image streaming is. It sounds like something you can do probably on a YouTube channel, I'm guessing, or something along those lines. Guys, I'm technologically kind of a troglodyte. I've learned how to use these gadgets enough to make videos for YouTube and stuff. I still have trouble figuring out how to use Skype, okay? Now I am learning because I need to now to do all the things I'm doing. I am picking up how to use these gadgets. I haven't even owned a cell phone in 8 years, or a car. And I figured out how to do all the things I do without even owning those two things. That's me. I like to be free. I like to feel the energies of nature and less electromagnetic interference. But I do respect and appreciate technology because it allows me to connect to people around the world that I find an actual, real, meaningful connection to, and it benefits us all on this planet. Whereas sometimes the people in your local neighborhood can be more different. There's no point in even talking to them. So I love technology. I love how I'm finding who my brothers and sisters are from all corners of this planet. And that's wonderful and it's amazing, and I appreciate and respect technology. It's got its pluses and minuses. But yeah, that's just me blabbering because honestly I don't know what image streaming is. I know I've heard of it and seen it, but I forget off the top of my head which function or thing or activity that actually is. So feel free to educate me a little in the comments. Maybe I'll actually see it, read it, and get it. Because it may be one of those things that I do need to end up, implementing down the line here. And if so, so be it. Next question, my friends. Thank you and much love. Okay. What exercises to do if I want to define my chest? I don't want a big chest, particularly the outer portion. So are you saying you particularly want to define the outer portion? Look up Gironda dips. Gironda dips. The outer and lower half of your chest, well, really the whole thing. The whole outer chest will get a lot better from Gironda dips. And the inner groove getting deeper, use nether chest shrugs. Best thing I've ever used for that. Okay? Very simple answer for chest definition. Now, as far as more chest definition, as long as you use the nether chest shrugs enough to have an upper chest, and you get lean enough, you'll have a really nice deep cut line between your upper and lower and pecs when you flex. So you can have a deep groove within, a nice deep cut etched on the outside, and a nice cut right through the middle, dividing upper from lower and showing all those striations. That's my 2 cents on chesticles that you might want to add into whatever you're doing now. All right. Okay, next question. Much love, my friend. Thank you. What exercises to do if I want... Oh, same question. Moving on. What is your opinion on the whole you must get stronger to get bigger thing? The reason I ask is because I feel like it's true to an extent, but after certain points of strength, you need to just focus on hypertrophy style training to get bigger. I know you're a big advocate of training with light weights with very high volume for hypertrophy. In stages, sure, absolutely. That contributes to your overall gains in the long run. And based on my recent experience, I would agree. However, I feel like I'm still severely limited on how big I can get based on my lack of strength. I feel as if I were to focus on getting stronger and then go back to the lighter weight and high volume stuff, I would benefit more in the end. Thoughts? I will agree with you. Yes. For me, I've always been pound for pound very strong in my nervous system, and having that strength has very much been beneficial as far as building the mass I want. Because you're absolutely right. You're going to, ideally, to get the most out of your muscles, you're going to need all of these extremes at some point in your training. But you are right in understanding that a foundation of a lot of functional strength is going to allow you to build more muscle faster, better. Because when you're stronger, you can put more into those bodybuilding type sets. You can do more reps. You can do more capacity and therefore stimulate more growth. So I would say you're ordering your priorities wisely, the way you're thinking here. Very much so. Much love. Next question. What do you do for a living? Well, I do a lot of things for a living. I rent out certain properties. My wife has a career. I'm a professional athlete. Sometimes I do odd jobs and this and that. This is part of what I do, consultations for fitness. I have a shaman page. I do a lot of shamanic work for people. and all the sort of things that entail, but I'm not going to say too much because, again, I don't want a bunch of fitness only types unsubscribing. Oh, he's such a weirdo, you know. So I don't want to get into that too much, but if you're curious, you can definitely email me and we can talk about any of those things if you want. So yeah, a variety of things. It's a pretty big variety. And in the past, I've, you know, invested money in certain things when I did have more normal jobs. Even from a young age, I always invested as much as I could because I wanted to be free to do what I'm really here for at some point, rather than spend the rest of my life working myself into a grave trying to buy the next new car or gadget or whatever the hell it is, like a damn slave drone. Even from a young age, I could see that trap. So I set up a lot of things to try to get financial freedom, which I have all kinds of mortgages and debts I'm working on paying off. It's not that I'm, you know, I was born into a financial slavery system just like the rest of you. So I'm buying my way out of prison as efficiently as I can, feeding the fat, lazy banking parasites that you can never see. They stay hidden while they suck so much juice from us. But anyway, that's kind of the story, you know. Efficient management of different projects, knowing how to do a lot with a little. Okay, the budget I survive on, and even my family of 4, most people would think that even one person couldn't make it week to week. And we eat all organic, okay? So clearly our priorities are different in the way we spend money and don't waste it versus others. My wife and I are very efficiently working to pay off all our debts and all the things we were born into in this world so that we can be financially free to put all of our time into what we really are here to be in this world that's going to make the most difference for everyone's sake and the planet's. Hopefully that answers that. Next question, my friends. Much love and thank you. All right. I've heard of people cutting down from a significant body fat percentage, say from 20 to 10, and redistributing their fat in different areas than what it was before after they gain the weight back. Okay, 10 back to 20. Any thoughts on why this happens and if we can at all control this? I.e. control how our body redistributes fat. Well, absolutely. Now, in most of those people's cases, unless they were consciously doing it, like a mind over matter, highly conscious person, what probably happened was their hormone profile was entirely different when they got rid of that fat. So then when they gained the extra fat back, because the hormones they were coming from was different, it deposited those amounts of fat on their body in different places. That's most likely what's happening due to lifestyle and hormone, maybe even some diet changes on their part. And of course, change in thinking, no doubt. But yes, from a metaphysical perspective, and again, I can't go too deep here, but yeah, if you visualize in what they call your third eye, or your inner vision, what you would choose to look like, if you hold that image long enough and hard enough, your cells will respond and you will look like it more and more over time. I've done this accidentally without even knowing it over decades, and now I can see it very clearly that it works. So hopefully that answers your question. Much love. Next question. How does one train for combat, defense, being as dangerous as possible? What factors are important in this subject, like being powerful or what? Power is good, strength is good, mass is good, but I can tell you the single physical attribute that makes the biggest difference for fighters is your stamina, your cardio. I cannot tell you how many big, super strong guys get their ass handed to them by a real fighter, because a real fighter can fight like hell. And these big bloated gym rats, you can't fight like hell. 60 seconds of real fighting and you're going into cardiac arrest. Trust me, I've made guys, oh God, I shouldn't even tell this story. Forget it. That's the truth though. All factors are important. All physical factors are going to help and contribute. If you're more powerful, that can win a fight with one knockout if you catch the guy right. But I will tell you this, foundationally, the limiting factor that gets the most people, and it's a horrible experience to find out you're not nearly conditioned well enough to be a fighter, it's the conditioning aspect. That's the one that is the most elite in fighters compared to everything else, okay? Compared to everything else out there. Your heart rate, if you go into a real professional fight, is going to be off the charts before you even start fighting. And then you're going to create an oxygen debt like you can't even believe when you do start fighting. So in some cases, the bigger your muscles are means the faster you die out there. You're only as good as the heart capacity you have to feed it. Rapidly, without breaks, under the most brutal conditions, struggling for your life. All right. Okay. Next question. What could I do to avoid... Oh no, that one was addressed yesterday by somebody else because I didn't even know the answer. Okay, what is your most effective lat targeting exercise? Also, does the nether row hit lats? Nether row definitely hits lats, and if you do it, see, a lot of people are doing nether rows like this more for traps, upper mid traps, upper back stuff, but you can position yourself to do nether rows like this, and then it evens out from upper traps clear to the bottom of your lats. It distributes the weight over that whole area more. So it definitely does hit lats. However, if you're asking me my personal idea of the hardest way to hit lats, the best, I think variations of the Yates row, when you learn to do it right, when you understand how Dorian was doing it, really pulling back and keeping the bar close to your nuts as you bring it up, like scraping up against your legs, pulling backwards while you're curling the weight. Me personally, now I understand everybody's physiology is a little different, but either heavy ass Yates rows or sometimes weighted chin-ups. Now the thing about weighted chin-ups is you have to understand how to position your body to hit your lats harder versus your arms. If you have that much mind-muscle understanding, you can feel which muscles you're using more, especially weighted negative chin-ups where you focus on your lats and make them deal with the stretch overload under all that weight. Yeah, you can put some slabs on your lats, okay? So those are, for me, my personal favorite ways to hit lats really hard. And there's plenty of other good exercises that if you have a good mind-muscle connection, you can target your lats hard. If you feel something and you understand about mind-muscle connection, you can feel which muscles it's really pulling hard on, go with that, because that means your physiology is lining up well on lats on that particular exercise, okay? So that's my 2 cents for you on that, my friend. Thank you, much love. Have you ever done eccentric isometric based training for a while? If so, what were your experiences with it regarding muscle growth and strength increase? Awesome question. This needs to be in the library. Thank you. Yeah, there was a stage in my, I think, early 20s where this was probably the last fitness book I ever bought. Static contraction training. Actually, a friend of mine got it for me who I was personally training at the time, because I had started to experiment with the idea on my own. So he saw this book somewhere and he brought it to me and we applied it. We both trained with it for like a whole summer, where I would do like I'd take like 700 pounds on a bench and unrack it and just lower it like half an inch from lockout, and I'd have pin set to catch it if I lost it, and I would just hold it for like 10 seconds or whatever I could. And I was doing all these different exercises that way. It developed a lot of nervous system strength. It developed a lot of static strength. It even developed some full range strength. What it did to my physique is it made me dense as hell. I did not gain much size on it, but I became very, very dense and hard physically, okay? That's what I remember specifically. Both me and my friend that I was training in my garage at the time, we both became very dense and hard. Like our muscles were like rock, you know? Hardest they had ever been by far. Didn't get a lot of size gains, but then when I went back to more conventional training, I did have more strength with that muscle density, which did lead to making more size gains with more traditional, not traditional, but more bodybuilding based activities that I followed up after that with. So it was not a wasted time. It was really cool. I got some benefits out of it, and I'm glad that was a stage in my overall development. Now, different people, I actually, from what I remember, my friend that I was training at the time, he was a very ectomorphic guy. I think he actually gained more mass on it than I did. I think he actually got bigger while he was getting denser, and I stayed the same size but simply became harder. This correlates to that earlier question on recomp. Like I said, recomp's probably 80% diet, but as far as the 20% on training, if you'd like to try something, look up static contraction training, because that is the densest and hardest recomp that I ever did to my body through training, okay? All right, next question. Much love. Thank you, friends. Any advice on fixing sleep? I wake up multiple times during the night. I adhere to most of the usual advice, bed only for sleep, no light in the night, and so on, to no avail. Thoughts on ashwagandha? Yeah, I struggled with insomnia most of my life, and I wouldn't say that I'm an insomniac anymore. What I have accepted is that I'm an extremely high energy person. I literally just don't need as much sleep as other people. And when I used to believe that I did, I was like, oh, I didn't get my 8 hours. Oh, and I was stressed. Dude, it sucked. It made life worse and worse and worse. Like I was saying yesterday, when I'm in love with my life and all the things I'm doing, if I even get 4 hours of sleep, I'm fine. I'm good to go. Now, you're saying you're waking up a lot during the night. You're not staying asleep. Ashwagandha could help with that. Gotu Kola can definitely help with that, as well as lucid dreaming, balancing brain hemispheres, and generally feeling better neurotransmitter-wise over time. You might want to go over to my metaphysical channel because there's a lot of change in one's philosophy of life that can take away a lot of the stress you're feeling deep inside in your subconscious based on your perception of life. It can make you a lot more at peace with yourself and reality. Those things can help with sleep. Clearing of, and you'll find that a lot of old emotional blockages and fears and things that traumatize you maybe at a young age and you don't even realize they start coming up. You even dream about them. You might feel very emotional in those dreams, but you're also releasing that trauma is what's occurring. But this is starting to sound too airy-fairy for some of these meatheads only here. So yeah, go on over to the metaphysical channel, and you can post that on the Q&As if you're interested in getting the kind of responses that will come over there. But those are my thoughts. Sleepy time tea, if you drink a lot of it before bed, can help. A variety of sleeping herbs can help, and as long as you're getting organic herbs, they're only going to benefit your health in a variety of ways. So that's something you could definitely try and look into. Based on that, I think that's all I can say on that right now. Much love. Next question. I live in Venezuela. Food here is sparse because of the crisis, and because of this is my daily protein intake is more or less 60 grams, but my calories are good. Am I wasting my training for hypertrophy? Is 60 grams of protein enough for protein synthesis, or is consumed for body maintenance? 65 kilogram body weight. So I don't know kilograms, but I think I could do a kind of a close conversion here. I think that it's a 45-pound weight plate is considered 20 kilograms, something like that. So 20, 40, 60 plus 5. So 140, maybe 150 something. So if I was at your size and I had a 60-gram protein budget for the day, here's what I would do. Because I've done all these weird metabolism experiments on myself. In your case, if you want to try something like this, if you're kind of an outside the box thinker, what I would do, I would intermittent fast during the day. Now, you can eat carb foods throughout the day. I'm not telling you you have to full on fast, but I would save my 60 grams of protein for in the evening after all my workouts, and preferably before bed. Because what will happen is all day your body is getting more and more inefficient because it's going, oh, we're not getting any protein. So it starts holding on to what proteins you have very carefully. Then when you do hit it with that 60 grams at night, it puts it to very good constructive use. And most of your growth of muscle is going to come overnight while you're sleeping anyway. And it's already been proven that the body's very good at not wasting away its muscle during the day when you're fasting. Despite all the fear in the books and the people telling you to eat 10 fucking meals a day and all the lies out there to make money. I've experimented with this, and you actually slow your metabolism way down when you're intermittent fasting, and your body becomes very efficient. So you can make gains on 60 grams of protein that way. The one thing I would say to watch on this is your micronutrients, because you're talking about a lack of food in general. You just need to make sure you're getting your vitamins and minerals, okay? That's more likely to cause you an issue that'll cause you setbacks rather than the lack of protein. Like I said, if you'll save all that protein for before bed, you can actually improve your physique and your muscles on just 60 grams. I've actually done so on less than that. Now, I wasn't huge like I am now. I was in a much skinnier size, but I've actually been able to put muscles on my body where I was working out to do so on very low, like 40 grams of protein a day, okay? All I did was I saved it all for in the evening before bed after my workouts. And again, you can eat fruits, vegetables, rice, carbs, whatever you want through the day for energy and to get those micronutrients. And also, even when you're fasting, your muscles don't waste away like people think. But especially if you're eating your carb foods throughout the day, your muscles literally have no excuse to be wasting away because you're giving them fuel all day. And then at night you eat that protein, you give them something to build with overnight while you're sleeping. So those are my thoughts, and if I was in your shoes, how I would arrange all that so I can still make gains on a limited protein budget by being very efficient, okay? Hopefully that helps, my friend. Much love to you, and may things get better where you're at so that, you know, life can be more supportive of your goals with what you're going through over there. But I have very much respect for you that you're not a give up or a quit or a make excuses person, and you're literally looking at what you do have in your environment, ready to do something with it. I find that people like that become so good and efficient and intelligent at making things work that when times in your environment does change and you find yourself in a situation where you have more resources to work with, you're going to be 10 times better at using those resources than all the people that always had them and took them for granted and never did anything with them. So very much respect and love for you, my friend. Thank you for that question. Do you think power shrugs are more effective than rack pulls? No. Me personally, I don't. I've done a lot of power shrugs in the past. Yeah, they build traps, but rack pulls build every bit as much traps and probably more, as well as building up other parts of your body so you get more overall mass gain. And, you know, rack pulls are just more manly. It builds more nervous system strength. You get to lift something heavier. Nothing against power shrugs, and if they're building your traps all right, hey, they work. They obviously build traps, they do, but to me, if it's a choice between those two, rack pulls, hands down, without a moment's hesitation, okay? Much love, my friend. Next question. How to get massive biceps and triceps, their lagging body part. Effective exercise you found in your experience. Okay. There's a lot I could say on this because I had really long arms that, well, my triceps seemed to lag for a lot of years because I couldn't figure out how to train them right. Biceps I always did pretty well. What really worked for me is doing arm feeders every day with resistance bands used for occluding my arms. I pump them full of blood so hard they almost explode every day now, okay? And I've been doing this for like 2 or 3 years. I've only been using the occlusion bands for a matter of months now, but I've been doing arm feeders for like at least 2 years straight, and that's helped. As far as biceps, I would say that heavy negative chin-ups where you overload the shit out of your arms is going to be my personal favorite for bicep mass. Remember to use different grips. Use chin-up grip, use neutral grip the next week or whenever you do it again. Use forward pull-up grip and overload them. You get more complete brachialis, outer head, inner head, lower part, upper part of your bicep. You want it all to grow. But I find that overload, negative, hanging and resisting and having the arms overpowered, hanging from pull-ups and chin-ups with extra weight on your body, is the very best overload type of exercises. Now, that being said, I've also done nucleus overload phases on my biceps where it was just lightweight and extremely high reps and burn for months at a time. And that built in more nucleus energy that pays off better when I lift heavy again. So it's been a process of many different steps, many different ingredients over time that have led up to where my arms are now. But my personal understanding of it is there's no magic answer for any one person because I don't even know which fiber types you have more of in your biceps and triceps. Which systems have you tried and what did you notice so far? And if you're just beginning, then we don't really know. We're starting from scratch. So I'd say try the heavy weighted hanging overloads. You can't do that without building some badass biceps. Look at gymnasts, okay? They don't even use the extra hanging weight, but they spend a lot of time hanging and pulling and stretch overloading their biceps on rings, and they have the best damn biceps of anybody on the planet. Triceps wise, now my triceps are a bit unusual. I've had to invent exercises to build mine because none of the standard stuff worked all that well. So I can't tell you which exercises are best, but I can tell you that using occlusion training or blood flow restriction training and getting a pump that will almost explode your arms forces the cells to have to stretch and expand and grow. And that's been working pretty well for me in the last few years, okay? So Google it. If you don't know what it is, look up blood flow restriction training. Jeff Cavalier did a decent little demo video on that. I think it was called blood flow restriction. No, it was called occlusion training, what it's all about. Or occlusion training, what is it all about? One of those titles. Google it. Jeff Cavalier, Athlean X. I found his video very simple and right to the point, and That's where I learned how to use a couple resistance bands to create a blood flow restriction on my arms. His demo video made it very simple, so you can check that out. And when you're using blood flow restriction on your arms daily, remember you're not going for max weight, you're not trying to lift heavy, you're working for the pump, because this will create a pump that's painful, literally too painful in some cases. And it's stretching the fascia, and it's stretching the muscle cells, and it's giving the muscle cells an emergency message that they have to get bigger now so that they don't blow up under this kind of blood pressure. And it builds up a shit ton of lactic acid in the lack of oxygen. It makes your cells in that muscle think that they're doing an anaerobic workout even though you're using lighter weights for high reps. So there's a ton of growth factors released in that occluded limb, which causes not only more localized growth in the arm, but actually after you take the bands off, some of the nearby muscles, people have noticed, will tend to respond better to training. They're actually soaking up some of the growth factors that are getting generated in the arm under those conditions. Same with legs can be done this way. In other words, people have noticed their torso getting benefits from using occlusion training on their limbs because of the extra growth factors produced. So those are my tips for now, because I have no idea what I'm working with. I have no idea where you're at with your arms. I have no idea what kind of background you have. So those are some key points, though, that can definitely help if it makes sense to you. Okay? Much love. Next question. How long have you been playing World of Warcraft? Favorite class and spec? What realm do you play on? Horde or Alliance? Let's read more. Have a good one, Netherman. Are you an old god incarnate? In a sense, yeah, but I can't really say that on this channel. But the fact is, some of you are too, okay? Ye are gods, it was said in the Bible by the one who has been misquoted more than anyone else in history. Anyway, how long have you been playing World of Warcraft? I believe my mom got me that game back in 2005, so that long, on and off. I've played it on and off since 2005. Favorite class and spec? It's usually between monks, hunters, sometimes shamans, and from there maybe warriors, and then rogues. Those are probably my top class. Well, I like druid sometimes, although I'm not any good at druid. But anyway, I like those classes. I play both Horde and Alliance. I like orcs. I like their backs. It reminds me of mine. It's a good back model. I like the Draenei for their arms and their quads. That's my arm and quad models, and shoulders, and their chest. I like dwarfs for their beards. So I have a lot of different classes and specs, you know, rotating between all that, just to give you some idea. Realm-wise, my main realms, Alliance-wise, are Darkspear, and Horde-wise is Tichondrius. I have a lot of Alliance tunes on Darkspear. I have a lot of Horde tunes on Tichondrius. And some of them on both sides are literally named Netherbeast. So if you hang out on those realms, you'll probably see me sooner or later when I happen to be carousing around in World of Warcraft while simultaneously listening to binaurals and studying and answering questions and so forth, and the 10 different things I'm usually doing at the same time. But anyway, much love. Much love and appreciation. That was a fun question. I'll see you there, man. Next question. What is your favorite exercises for chest and back? The key to elite natural strength is a powerful open mind and no knowledge of the outside world, aka what everyone else is doing. Yeah, that's one of the biggest keys from my life, I would say, for sure. Have you had no limits since you have no limits potentially, is it hard to gauge when you will plateau in strength? Do you believe eventually that you will plateau at your absolute limit? Your favorite way to train, once a week per body part, 4-day split, strength, hypertrophy, etc. Much respect, my nether friend. Hope to see your channel grow and not get deleted by weak-minded assholes this time. May the force be with you. Thank you, my friend, and you as well. So let's hit these one at a time. Favorite back and chest exercises. Okay, if somebody put me on an island and said you're only ever allowed to do one back exercise ever again, nether rows, because I can change the angle and I can build more overall back mass in different places the way I want to, overall, total, with that exercise than I can with anything else. Rack pulls would probably be a close second, but they don't do so well in the mid. back as a nether row. So that's why I would choose the nether row first. Key to elite. Okay. Since you have no limits, is it hard to gauge when you plateau in strength? You know, I understand what you're asking me here. It's all based on me. You know, it's based on how I'm feeling and thinking when I go down there and look at that weights. There are days when I can tell that I'm in the zone and those weights look like 1,000 pounds looks like pussy weight to me, you know, and I'm like, come here, that's warm-up weight. Those are days when I easily set big numbers. There's other days where maybe I haven't got enough sleep, maybe I'm distracted, maybe I'm ungrounded, maybe I have too many things going on in my mind, and I don't go for a personal best on that day because I can already tell I'm going to limit myself, you know. I'll do a different kind of training that day to get some kind of gains or improvement to my physique. But there are days where I can just feel it. It's like, dude, I am beyond human today. Okay, it's not even stressful. It feels good lifting extreme weights on days like that. As far as plateauing, a plateau is something a person plans for, basically. When you see a plateau coming, that means you're creating it in your own mind. Now, I've done this many a time, yes. These days, not so much. What I generally do, let's say I take up, well, I recently took up rack pulls, right? And I was moving up to the 2,000 pounds until I couldn't figure out how to safely attach enough stuff to the bar. So I stopped at 1,800 for now. But I went from having only ever rack pulled 1,000 pounds on a standard rack pull to 1,800, and I did it in about 5 different lifts. What is the question here? What am I actually saying? Oh, okay. So I wasn't thinking about any plateaus. I was thinking I'll just get to 2,000 and stop. And let me tell you, that 1,800 was not hard to do. So 2,000 won't be a problem when I figure out how to do it. But see, I was planning already to stop at 2,000 because I thought that's a nice big round number, and it seems so far out there compared to anything I've heard of. I'll just stop there. So that's me choosing a plateau, basically. My point is, what I often do is, let's say the next time I return to rack pulls, my current high number that I've set is 1,800. I'll look at that and I'll go, well, I'm going to do at least 2,000 before I stop this time. Otherwise, I won't be satisfied. It won't even be worth the training phase to do it. And so that time I'll work until, say, I surpass my 2,000 that I've set for myself as a nice big goal. And then I'll probably stop doing max rack pulls for a while and just do something else. And then if I feel inspired to come back to it again, I'll be looking at a bigger number. This time 2,200, or I won't be satisfied. And I'll train till I hit that. So in a sense, I'm already setting a plateau for myself, but I set it way out there where other people just don't dare set it. Because in their world, those numbers are just so big and overwhelming. And I'm like, no. A chimpanzee who weighs 150 pounds, he doesn't know those numbers are big and overwhelming. And if you hooked his arms to this bar and gave him the notion to do so, he'd rip this shit off the ground without knowing that it's such big numbers. And his body's not near as big as mine. So, yes, it's a very, like, plateaus to me are something you've agreed upon subconsciously before you get there, whether you know it or not. And when you change something about your subconscious, now you have a bigger bubble in there. You have a bigger number range that seems like your next plateau, and your body goes there. How many of you guys have accidentally, when you weren't paying enough attention, put more weights onto a lift than you had ever done before without realizing you did it, lifted it, and then got off and looked at it and went, holy shit, I just added 30 pounds to my max beyond what I thought I could even do because I didn't know I was doing it. Early on, I made that mistake multiple times, and it was like the universe is showing me something here, you know. So yes, even the nether beast tends to create plateaus. We all do. I'm just setting mine way the hell out there. I'm not afraid to set plateaus that other people just are afraid to even talk about, you know. Why? What's the point? If I have to be afraid to set a goal that I really like, I'm not even going to lift up a weight to begin with. I'm just going to give up and go talk shit to people that do things with their lives, you know. So to me, a plateau is something that you've agreed upon in your own subconscious before you actually physically find yourself there. And if you look within and find that, and be patient with yourself and understand, okay, this is where subconsciously I feel my own plateau right now, but I understand that I can expand upon this. What kind of self-worth and reflection am I going to do, and what kind of things am I going to have to free myself from that I've picked up in this world, and who's around me that's holding me down, and what influences are in my life parasitically dragging my vibration down and keeping me from expanding on myself further, And how do I free my own mind from those influences and honor my true power better inwardly? And again, this is getting pretty metaphysical, but that's kind of how I would have to describe it. Because I spend so much time alone, and I've literally just looked around on this planet like everybody here is an alien to me for so long now. I don't feel like I'm what you call a human. So for me, my numbers are not correlated to what so-called humans think. And that's why I protect myself by a lot of isolation. My spiritual growth, my well-being, my understanding of myself, and everything that makes me valuable to humanity, I couldn't have discovered it, and will continue to get better as I make more improvements and clear out more of my own blockages and my own confusions and my own conflicts, etc. It's only going to continue to get better. But I definitely have to honor myself, and I have to put myself in enough isolation a lot of times that I can allow myself to expand without seeing things as difficult. Because the vibration of other people, as you know, on this planet is not there. The humans on this planet make everything very difficult for themselves. They literally take simple things and complicate it to the point where you can't even do it anymore, you know, which is the mark of a very non-advanced species. But anyway, you have a good one too, my friend. Now you're asking me, oh, do I believe I'll ever hit an absolute limit? No, because I believe in changing genetics with your mind. So if I get to a point where I can't lift anymore with this body without ripping something off, that means that now I have to program that part of me to have even more physical integrity, or even more flow of electrical consciousness energy through my nervous system to create an even stronger charge. I've changed my genetics very much over the years, so I know from experience this is what we're doing. We're being alchemists. I don't care what it says in the books. When you build a physique, you are changing your genetics. My kids were born extremely muscular. They came out of their mom buff, okay? Like the doctors and nurses were like wide-eyed, not even understanding it. Because I was in such a muscular state, when I passed on my genes to them, it literally affected them, okay? So what I'm saying is here is we change our genetics with our mind, with our consciousness, and with our activities over time. So no, I do not believe there's ever such thing as an absolute limit. There's always a way to change something, to make an alteration that means now you have more capacity. And this is the truth of human consciousness when we go to the metaphysical level. No matter what you expand into, the good news is from there, you can always see something bigger and grander to expand into. And this is something that only people that are expansive know and get to experience for themselves. And this is what I'm sharing with this world in a variety of ways, and I'm glad you're picking up on it, my friend. Like I said earlier, you know, I know young people on this channel that I've personally talked to and got to know that are advanced souls, and I'm so impressed with, you know. I don't know how old or young you are, but much respect and love, my friend. And yes, this channel will grow. Like I said, hey, this time, this is a fitness channel. It's all male. It's all about crushing weakness and burning away the parasites. YouTube really shouldn't have anything to shut me down here for, because I'm not confusing anybody with spiritual concepts that insult and scare their little paradigms. So we should be okay this time. And the other channel that's really deep into metaphysical stuff, well, that's what it's for. The people there want to go deeper, so they're not going to go cry to mommy. All right. Much love. Next question. What is your detoxification and supplements routine in the week? Good content, by the way. Let me think now all the different detox stuff I do on the regular. I start every day with coffee enemas. Look them up, educate them. It's not some taboo, gross thing. It's just science. And if you learn how to use it, it's fucking awesome. That's my first thing, foundational. I do saunas on a pretty regular basis. I do rebounding on a trampoline on a regular basis. Tremendous health benefits. Human lymph systems are destroyed on this planet, and that's leading to all kinds of diseases for people. It's the most overlooked system in the human body because scientists and doctors have somehow missed it, even though it's even more important than your blood and circulatory system. Rebounding is the very best exercise for it. It's super easy, gentle, fun. It takes nothing out of your energy reserves for harder training, and it's really damn good for you. Diet-wise, I take a variety of detoxifying herbs. I don't want to try to list them all off the top of my head right now. My wife is brilliant at making herbal tonics for detox because she's been on a long health journey saving herself from a lot of health conditions, and she's become very advanced and amazing. So I benefit from her knowledge and the amazing herbal combinations she makes, which even make detox into a much more painless experience, which is a whole new cutting edge thing for those that are out there understanding alternative healing. And like I said, down the line, I intend to co-create a channel with her that'll be about that kind of thing, doing the best we can to share healing knowledge with people without getting in big trouble for it. What else is normal for me? Diatomaceous earth almost every day. Anytime I'm feeling stomach weirdness, I use activated charcoal to suck it right out of me. Bentonite clay sometimes. My kids and wife do it pretty frequently. What else do I do? Iodine kills all kinds of nasty shit. I use that every day. And everybody on this planet should, because there's been 2,600 plus nuclear weapons detonated here inside this atmosphere that we're all sharing by fucking idiots, okay? Just so y'all know. This is the post-apocalyptic zombie era of mutants, hence the crazy-ass cancer rates. Protect yourselves, guys. Iodine. If you're only going to do one supplement, I couldn't give a fuck less if you ever lift a weight. Protect yourselves with iodine, people. You're living in a post-apocalyptic, mutated, hills have eyes, zombie, crazy-ass radiation planet now. You are, okay? Just so you know, this isn't to scare you, it's to tell you what you can do about it, so you can thrive in an environment where everybody's melting and mutating. And maybe you can even share that and help some others to protect themselves and their kids who are innocent and don't deserve to have 2,600 nukes eating them alive when they come into this shithole planet. Much love. If you want to talk privately, if you're looking to actually do a serious detox, hit me up privately, email me, pick my brain a bit, because it's a pretty individual thing. There's a lot, like I was saying yesterday, there's a lot of detox methods where you need to know the individual person's situation before you start prescribing them which types of methods to follow, because certain people are going to benefit a lot more from certain methods than others. There's a lot of different types of fasting out there that different people argue about what's technically a fast, and that's just stupid. But I would need to know more about you personally, where you're at, what your interests are, what your goals are, what you're dealing with, what your motivations are, and I could definitely help you a lot more on a personal level. Plus, I can go deeper into this without getting in trouble by setting off all kinds of red flags for the things that I say in public, like happened on the last channel. It got me in a lot of trouble. Anyway, I don't want to say any more about that right now, but if you really want to go further with that, email me privately and we can go from there, my friend. What are your thoughts on cardio? Does it help to build muscle? Certain forms of cardio can. You can build a little muscle running. If you want to run on your toes, you can build calves. If you want to bounce on your quads while you jog, you can build some quad definition and striations. If you want to do like fitness related drills, you can tone and build up and densify yourself and get more toned and ripped while doing cardio. But really, if you want to do cardio while you build muscle, the older nether by the day workouts I was showing were all about that. People were absolutely exhausted and winded going through all these supersets at a fast pace. So you can build muscle and get a hell of a strong cardio system at the same time. A lot of the golden era bodybuilders like Arnold and some of those guys did it that way. They didn't ever do cardio. They never jogged. They never walked on the treadmill. They didn't do any of that shit. They designed their workouts to move at a pace that challenged their cardio, so their cardio was done by the time they were done doing their muscle building. That's one thing to think about. You can combine them. Other people would rather separate it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as far as having higher heart capacity, yes, it's going to feed your muscles better. And in many indirect ways, this is going to serve you in building better muscle over the long term and being able to use it better. Your body doesn't like drowning in oxygen debt from having way more muscle than it has heart to pump it with. And these 300-pound chemically induced beasts, their hearts are 3 times the normal size they're supposed to be because they're dysfunctional, because their heart actually didn't get trained to keep up with all the crazy-ass amount of mass that they have, okay? So they're having heart disease and heart failure because they have a weak heart inside of a very oversized body. Your heart's kind of like the sun at the center of your galaxy that feeds the energy to all your muscles and glands and everything else. So you're extremely wise if you include cardio in the long run, this is going to serve you very well, okay? As an athlete and just as a person in life in all ways. So hopefully that answers that pretty well. Much love. Next question. Welcome back. What would you do if you have to compete year-round to keep both strength and muscle gain as well as speed and power? What exercises would you do and what kind of programming routine would you focus on? Maybe because I haven't seen the answer from previous channel, but what made you injure your leg? Okay, first I'll answer the leg thing real quick. I don't know if you call it an injury, but I was doing so many barbell hack squats with my heels elevated that I created a very serious imbalance where my quads were way more developed than my hamstrings, and that caused the tension in my knees to be all jacked up, and my patellar tendon was just getting more and more sore on both my knees every week. So I wouldn't call it an injury. I didn't keep going to the point where you rip your shit off and then end up looking ridiculous for the rest of your life. I saw the writing on the wall and I said, okay, we're not doing this. And I stopped and I let it heal. So it wasn't really an injury. It was a serious imbalance that I was creating. It was creating a lot of pain, but more important than the pain, that was a warning that your knee joint socket is so imbalanced now that if it gets hit the wrong way, something's going to come out of place and you're going to get a real injury. And that's not, like I said, I've designed my body to have high physical integrity to be as hard as possible to rip apart my whole life. So I wasn't willing to go that route any further. So I'm not against the exercise if you can balance it with hamstring work and you're not getting the knee problems. It's a great quad builder. But for me, I abused it and overdid it, and I got too obsessed with it. And I love the way my quads were looking, but I'm going to find a different way to build back the quads I like without, and I'm working on it. I'm in the process, but without imbalancing my knees this time. So if I have to compete year-round, keep both strength and muscle gain as well as speed and power, and basically I pretty much shoot to attain all those things year-round myself for a variety of reasons, so I can relate to that. What exercises, what kind of programming? Okay, what kind of exercise and programming? If you have to have strength, muscle gain, speed, power. So like I was saying about Bill Kazmaier yesterday, the way you lift means everything about your speed and power. If you simply do your lifts in a fast as possible on the positive part of the lift, you will have speed and power, period. That's how you have tremendous speed and power. And you get plenty of gains that way. My advice would be to go slow on the negative, okay? We all know that the negative does more mechanical damage to the muscle fibers. Savor that. Live in that negative. Struggle with it. Suffer in it. Make the negative slow and make the positive fast, because that's where you build that speed and power, where the negative is building more of the actual mass and new muscle fibers, okay? You can literally get the both of best worlds simply in the way you're doing your reps. And muscle gain. So that pretty much simplifies and wraps all that up in one answer right there. So as far as what exercises I would do, the ones you see me do all over my channel. You know, I pretty much share the exercises that I like the most, you know, for the most part. So you can see the kind of things that I select to use to hit my body in different ways. So again, it's about the way you're doing those reps, okay? Now some people will have 6 different kinds of training. They'll go to an expert on this to give them like their speed training. They'll go to an expert on this for flexibility. They'll go to an expert on this for muscle endurance. Nothing wrong with that if that's the way you want to do it. But most people would prefer to get all these things at the same time, and simply a change in technique allows that. Just like Bill Kazmaier said, if you lift a big weight slowly, you're always going to be slow. If you lift the same weight fast, you're going to have just as much brute slow strength, but you're going to have way more explosive fast strength than that other lifter, okay? So contemplate upon that, my friend. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if it needs more expanding upon or where we go from there. Much love. What is your opinion on high reps, 20, even 100, versus low reps for strength and size? Well, certain exercises like nether rows and nether chest shrugs, you can actually do 20 to 100 reps with heavy ass weight. Kind of like Tom Platz. Everybody in the world going, what's better, high volume leg training or high weight leg training? And Tom Platz shows everybody the obvious. Both put together. ideally, if you can use a weight that's somewhat heavy and do high reps, you're going to have better muscle development there than the next person. So high rep is wonderful. Now, if you're going so light that it's like a paperweight, you know, like I can sit here and do dumbbell fly or lateral raises with no dumbbells until I finally fatigue and stop. That'll build some muscular endurance in my shoulders for holding my arms up. I don't think it's going to build, in my case, at the stage that I'm at, I don't think it's going to build any noticeable mass increases on my shoulders. But it's still going to build some endurance. Now, when I take 10 pounds and I go for 5 minutes straight doing reps like this, it builds some mass. That's enough. 10 pounds is nothing for me, obviously, right? That's silly weights. But when I do 100 and some odd reps, like I play a 5-minute song and I just do lateral raises through the whole thing, even with 10 pounds, I get gains, okay? So there's a certain, it's all math. There's a certain point where you take a lighter weight and you get to a point where the reps are high enough that I don't care how strong you are. Now your muscles fibers are failing and fatiguing, and they're having to recruit power fibers just to keep going. And if you fully fatigue all the fibers in a muscle finally, you're going to get some kind of gains, okay? So this just makes me think about Tom Platz. Everybody, you know, would argue, oh, just, you know, lift heavy-ass weight for low reps. No, lift lighter, you know, more moderate weight for high reps and sets. And all those guys had good legs. And Tom Platz just put the two principles together and had by far the best legs. You know, so it really comes down to how many reps are you willing to put yourself through with a challenging weight, because that will give you the most gains. Look at Sam Ernil. Again, guys, subscribe. This dude's taking on Jefferson lifts, and he's going to build up to 100 reps on a challenging weight that he started out with like 10 reps or something, or maybe even less. I don't know. Think about that. Think about that shit. That's incredible. That is taking one set and doing more tonnage than the vast majority of bodybuilders do in their entire workout, okay? You got to have metaphorical and probably literal cojones the size of softballs to even be attempting something like that. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. That's why I'm taking on the challenge and taking on his methods. I can't help but to step up to something like that. It's so grand and awesome. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Hopefully that helps. Much love. Will you ever bring Nether by the Day back? No, probably not, because Nether by the Day was just the workouts that I happened to be doing at that time. People were like, show us your workouts, show us your workouts, show us your workouts. So I was like, okay, I'll film my workouts. They'll be relevant to some of you. They'll probably be useless to some of you, but you're welcome to do them. But those workouts are no more designed to benefit the general public than any random thing, honestly. So someone has some of those recordings. System Blower might have some of them. You're entitled to watch those so you can get the concept and understand Nether by the Day. But I'm not even doing that kind of training right now myself. I'm in an entirely different phase. So the kind of workouts that I'll be filming from time to time, they're always going to be different over time, guys. Nether by the Day was just what I was doing at that time. It's like, if you guys want to do my workouts with me, here we go. And I was doing it to be accommodating and so forth. And then that whole channel got shut down anyway, so I'm just moving forward. I'm being who I am in the moment. Like I say, I think somebody has some of those recordings. Ask System Blower if he has them. Subscribe to that channel. I linked that channel in yesterday's Q&A, okay, in the info box under the video screen, guys. I linked Sam's channel, I linked my other metaphysical channel, and I linked the System Blower, who has some of my videos that I no longer have. And I'm not taking those videos back and putting them on here because I'm just moving forward. And it's fine that he's the reference for that. We're connected, we're friends, it's all part of the same group, so it's all good. But yeah, no, because I'm not doing what you're referring to as Nether by the Day style workouts right now. Now, if I get back into a phase where I'm doing something similar, then I'll upload some of those workouts. But I don't plan my next training phase while I'm in this one. While I'm in this one, I'm focusing on making the most of this one, being in the moment. And then when I sense that I'm approaching that time where I'm ready for a big change again, then I start channeling in, if you will, the vision for the next cycle, okay? So no, I have no intentions on going back over things, going back to the past and bringing it up. The past got shot down. I'm just moving forward and building from here. And that's pretty much how it's being done, my friend. Much love. Next question. I left a comment on your first Q&A on this channel talking about urban legends and hidden monsters of strength. Do you know any urban legends like that? No, I'm not really up on urban legends. Before it's over, maybe I'll be one. I don't know. I think some people think I'm a legend because they don't believe the things I show them or do. But I'm not even sure who urban legends are. Hidden monsters of strength, well, as implies nether, which means underground. Nether beast, underground bodybuilding, that's pretty much who you're talking to here. A hidden monster of strength who's been hidden from the world and living off the grid and disconnected from everybody, and now he's a monster of strength, so I guess that's what I am, my friend. Not aware of any other ones personally, really. Not hidden monsters of strength. I see visible monsters of strength out there in the world, but yeah, I guess I just don't know much about that topic. Much love. We know that the skin can be hardened by outside means, but can it be hardened from the inside by means of muscle training? Maybe the heat generated by the muscle fiber friction. Also, the skin getting harder would lead to heavier body weight due to higher density of the skin cells, right? Well, I suppose so. Although I don't know about harder. It might just structurally change its matrix and become harder with the same amount of material, so you wouldn't gain any weight. But if you're talking about becoming thicker skinned, that would add some weight, I'd imagine. Most bodybuilders actually want to be thinner skinned because then all your vascularity pops way out and makes you look more gnarly. But I'm a thick-skinned person, and I find that useful living a rugged life. I don't get tore up or as many cuts and scrapes, and when I do, I heal from them like it's nothing. I don't even feel them. So I have tough skin. I guess you're interested in making your skin stronger. I would imagine that that's got more to do with your mindset and more of a concentrated meditation or expectation or visualization. I'm not aware of how weightlifting would make your thin skin thicker, because look at Ronnie Coleman. The dude obviously lifted as much weights as anybody ever has. If you total up all the weightlifting that guy's done, and the massive pump and burn and every kind of extreme muscular strain, and genetically had some of the thinnest skin I've ever seen. That's why his vascularity was so awesome. You could practically see the dude's organs. So I'm not aware of anything about weight training in and of itself that, thickens or hardens your skin. I think that's got to do with something else. Probably that's the kind of thing you have to manifest with biokinesis, with your belief over time. That's honestly what I'm feeling on that. So, yeah, that's the best I can say for that right now. Let me know if you want to expand upon that in a different way from there, if that brings up more questions. Much love to you. Do you believe in bulking and cutting? Well, I believe it exists, yeah. Bulking and cutting in the sense that I've seen it done, some people seem to do okay with that. Me personally, I don't like it. Because it's always such an overcorrection thing. It's like steering a car and not being able to stay in your lane. When you're bulking, you always end up getting fatter than you want to, and in my case, sometimes getting rid of that extra fat is harder than getting it, so I don't really like bulking. Cutting, I've done crazy ass cuts, but I've never got as lean as I wanted to. I find that I end up just pissing away a lot of muscle mass, and eventually when your muscle mass gets low enough, then you don't have as much muscle to burn the fat off your body anyway, so I feel like I shoot myself in the dick if I cut. So I don't believe, me personally, I don't believe in full-on bulking or cutting. I like to make, just like I'm steering a car and I'm staying in my lane, I'm looking for the middle of the lane where I can make gains without gaining any fat and even recomp slowly for better and better overall muscle-to-fat ratios. And in doing that, I watch my body. I don't count calories. I use a mirror. A mirror is way better than calories in books. You can simply see on your own body, am I getting fluffier? Am I getting skinnier? What's going on right now? And that's it. If I feel like I'm getting too skinny because I've limited too many calories lately, I add a little, usually in the form of protein, and not mixed with carbs, because I don't want to become fat. I want to actually just gain lean muscle. This gets into all kinds of dietary strategies that probably have more to do with my particular metabolism than yours, though. But my basic answer to you here is no. Me personally, I don't like the concept of full-on bulking or full-on cutting because I've done it plenty of times, and I always felt like it was 2 steps forward and 1 step back, where I would rather just make that 1 step forward with a hell of a lot less effort and time rather than going 2 full steps forward and then 1 step back just to be in the same place with twice as much effort. If that makes sense, my friend. Much love to you. Next question. Just seen your video on astral projection, and I've had the night terror sleep paralysis experience 5 or 6 times. 2 years ago, it was terrifying. Yes, it is, especially when you don't know what it is. I'd hear loud thumping noises like someone running, stomping. I've had all that, yes. Really loudly, and I'd hear them break through the door of my bedroom, and shadowy, hairy, lumpy creatures who would pounce on top of my chest, yes. The hag syndrome and the many things it's been called. There's always some asshole sitting on your chest, especially if you're afraid, messing with your head, making you think you're suffocating. Okay. Start strangling me. Again, it's a mind game. They can't really strangle you, but they're fucking with your fears. That's how this works. Staring straight in your eyes, yeah. This happened in a while, and it's helped me release all my negative... It hasn't happened in a while, and it's helped me release all my negative emotions of my upbringing and the pain my family, etc. put me through. Do you have any take on this and any advice on what I should do, read, watch, etc. to further lighten myself? I can tell you this, friend. When it comes to all the entities just on the other side of the veil that most people... Oh, God. I can't do it, man. I can't risk it. I know what happens on this channel when I do this. Go over to my metaphysical channel. You can literally copy and paste this, put it on the Q&A over there, and you will get answers on this that are far beyond just me, okay? That's my honest advice to you. The Channeling Channel. The link to it is in yesterday's Q&A. I may remember to put it in today's Q&A, okay? This question will get you a lot further over there than what I can do with it over here. Furthermore, the answers you get over there are from more than just me, okay? I know a lot on this from experience, and we can talk about it over there, but you can get better information over there than what I'm capable of on my own, okay? So I'd highly advise that, okay? You can really get some help and expansion on these topics, and this thing that you've been through can end up being turned into a gem for you in your life to expand upon, okay? This can really unlock some things. Really exciting things, okay? Just so you know. Much love to you. Next question, my friends. Hello, Mr. Nether. I've been playing around the idea of doing isolated feeders on my back, delts, tries, and bis for a whole month. After a 2-week break, I would follow a once-a-week progression based on your Transcendent Road to 100 Reps. And that's not mine. I got to give proper credit. That's Sam Ernill's creation. I'm using it because it's fucking awesome. Sam Ernill's Transcendent Training. Sam Ernill, I've literally been lifting for longer than he's been alive, and I entirely respect him as a collaborator and somebody that I look up to, and we're going to be making all kinds of cool shit together. So anyway, okay, you've been using that on the T-bar row, incline press, leg press. Wow. Leg press. Ooh, Transcendent Training, up to 100 reps on leg press. Nice. Gains incoming. Off days, and you must have some balls too. Awesome. Off days will be spent doing high rep band work for recovery. Hey, active recovery is smart. Balls and brains. I love the kind of people that are coming to this channel, man. This is good. This is good where this energy is going. So, what are your thoughts on this training for hypertrophy? It's great for hypertrophy. Now, of course, I don't know your exact genetics. I don't know if it's the most optimal thing for you. Now, I can tell you the Transcendent Training method. I don't care what anybody's genetics are. You take a weight that you can do about 10 reps on, or maybe 20 today, and you say, I'm going to work until I can do 100 on this, you're going to get some serious fucking gains. I don't care who you are. That's like Lee Priest level intensity. Not Lee Priest, Tom Platz. Lee Priest is probably my favorite professional bodybuilder, but Tom Platz, of course, owns when it comes to legs. And, you know, I think I've seen him do 500 on a squat for 30 good reps. This is just taking that principle and taking it even further, okay? Badass to the ultimate max. Now, Transcendent training is going to dig deep into your recovery pool because you're being 10 times as manly as anybody else even doing a workout like that. So the only thing I'd say here is watch your recovery. You can use the overtraining test that I described on yesterday's Q&A, thanks to Elliot Hulse. Yo, Elliot, thank you for that. To test where your nervous system's at to know if you're overtraining. Because if you're overtraining, then you want to start putting more rest days between these sessions and you'll get more gains. So I would advise that. Because everything you're doing here is freaking awesome. The only question is the yin and the yang. Is your recovery ability keeping up with all these awesome workouts that you're doing? And as long as you're making gains and you're making progress in strength and mass and all these things, then yeah, putting all these badass elements together, much respect, my friend. But remember, if the gains aren't as good and you find you're overtraining, you don't have to drop any of these awesome methods. All you would want to do is spread out the more intense workouts to have more days of rest in between them. And you just keep adjusting that till you find your optimal range where you're making the most gains between those workouts, okay? And you can talk to Sam or Neil about that because he's walking it, okay? He's walking the walk and talking the talk, and I'm picking this up and learning from his methods, okay? And applying it to my own, adding even more things into my arsenal and so forth because I very much respect his mind and his cojones, okay, and his vision. So anyway, and I respect yours. This is badass what you're doing here. So those are my 2 cents and thoughts on it, just to look out, make sure you're not overtraining, and adjust it to where you're getting the optimal gains for all these awesome workouts you're putting in. But yeah, that's a tremendous, awesome amount of systems of things you're playing with and integrating there. And that's just, it's one of those deals where you integrate the right things and you get a 1 + 1 = 3 type deal. And in this case, it looks like a great formula for that as long as you're not overtraining. And I can't tell you what your personal recovery is, but like I said, you can use that Elliot Hulse test to see where your nervous system's at to know if you're overtraining. And that was on yesterday's Q&A. It'll be in the timestamps. Much love, my friends. Next question. What remedies do you use when dealing with patellar tendonitis? Okay, like I was describing earlier, I was really being mean to that tendon for a while, and both of mine were hurting so bad, and it was just getting worse and worse. My main remedy was to stop doing what was jacking it up, and I lost about 2 inches off my legs, and people go, "Oh, your skinny chicken legs," because as usual, they're just looking for something to criticize, and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But that's okay. When you have a massive upper body and your legs are 2 inches smaller than you be, I understand why it gave that impression. But it's not that I don't know how to train legs. It's not that I don't know how to have big legs. But the point here is I stopped doing the things that were hurting it, and I started doing, after a while, when I discovered terminal knee extensions, I started doing that exercise to actually build back quads, but also balance my knee. And my wife helped me build a deep tissue oil. It was about 80% organic castor oil with about 20% organic tea tree oil. And I would massage that into my knees before or after a workout. And I tried to remember to do so at least once a day. And what that did is like any good deep tissue oil, except this was non-toxic, because I bought a deep tissue oil and it had all these unpronounceable fucking chemicals in it stuff. And I was like, no, I'm not putting that in my joints. So let's build one. So that's how we built one, and it just increases the circulation to get more nutrients, because as you know, a tendon is the type of material in the body that doesn't get that much circulation. That's why our tendons, joints, connective tissues of that nature are slower to heal. So a deep tissue oil like that is really helpful. It'll help get more blood circulating to that area, more nutrients in there to reconstruct it and build it back up faster. Now there's a variety of internal supplements you can take to speed up your cartilage generation. Gotu Kola is wonderful. Diatomaceous earth is wonderful. Anything anti-inflammatory, omega-3s, turmeric, many anti-inflammatory herbs. There's a lot of herbs out there that are literally known to help regenerate tissues of connective tissue faster. I find that Gotu Kola is amazing because it's an adaptogen that makes your brain and heart and your life better over time, and it's also really good for collagen structures. So those are a couple pieces of advice off the top of my head. Let me know if you can work with those things, and we can expand upon it later if you need more. But really, if you apply those things, you can totally heal whatever's going on with that tendon before you snap that shit off and end up with a quad that's curled halfway up your leg looking weird for the rest of your life. I respect the mindset of always being hardcore, but before I really fucked up my knees, I said to myself, you know what, man? You've already had many severe injuries in your life from being uncompromising. Rather than setting yourself back for a long time on your leg training, let's just stop now before this gets worse, and let's be wise for once in our life. And it was a good decision. I'm very glad that I did that. I've always been a snap, don't tap type of person, but I finally decided I don't like all the time that I spend sitting around recovering, not being able to live the active lifestyle I want, because I chose to get injured just to prove how tough-minded I am. Sometimes that's just dumb, you know? Sometimes it's smarter to back away. You don't need to fucking injure yourself in the gym. And in the long run, you're starting over too many times when you do that. I've started over on everything in life 100,000 times, and I don't like doing that anymore. I don't like starting over. So if I have to back off of an exercise I really like the gains from in order to not snap my shit or cause myself any kind of serious setback from an imbalance or whatever I'm doing wrong, that's what I do. I back away, I reassess, I make a smarter plan, I heal up those joints and tendons. Because without your joints, and look at all these broke down bodybuilders. 300 pounds of muscle and now they can't lift shit anymore because they've got these weak, decrepit, broken bones and tendons. That's ridiculous. It's terrible. It's pathetic. I've literally known 320-pound juiced bodybuilders who were walking through a parking lot, slipped on a little bit of ice and broke their ACLs apart in both their knees and were crippled for the rest of their life. How can you be at a point where your tendons are that weak and imbalanced and you're packing all that muscle and you think that's a good place to be? It's not. To me, bone, joint, tendon integrity needs to be more than what your muscles have, so you can't pull hard enough to tear your own shit off. That's just the way I've always thought about it. Your skeleton is your foundation, and if you have a weak foundation, the more muscles you put on top of it, the more problems you're really leading to, you know? So, yeah, those are my thoughts on that, on how to regenerate knees and stuff. Okay, can a novice follow your style of training? Well, you absolutely can. Just understand that if an exercise feels like it might hurt you, you probably don't have the right mind-muscle connection to it. I would advise you not to do it, okay? If something doesn't feel right, you feel like you're going to tweak something, don't do it. Here's my disclaimer. If you're a mature enough person that when you try things, you don't blame the other person if you hurt yourself, then you can use any of these things, okay? That's what I always did. I always tried anything I wanted to. I didn't ask anybody else's permission. So even labeled as a novice, if something that I'm doing here makes sense to you and you connect with it and you feel something for it, I would encourage you to explore that. Just understand that, as always, you're responsible for yourself. Don't get injured and then say it's my fault, you know. As long as you're cool like that, then absolutely, man, you can definitely learn to use some of these things to your tremendous benefit. And in some muscle groups, if some of these exercises connect with you, you're going to be getting ahead of the crowd in that area by using things that they literally are more advanced. I mean, most of this shit's very custom. It's ways to get muscles to grow that nobody else figured out. It's ways to take certain muscles and cause them to grow than any of the more conventional exercises can do. So these are advanced ideas and concepts, but that's not to say that you can't understand them and use them. Just because you call yourself a novice, maybe you don't have that many years of training under your belt, but I don't know what kind of mind you have. You might be more than capable of using this stuff. So I wouldn't put any rules on it. If you feel like you can use some of these things to your advantage, then I believe you can. Absolutely, my friend. Much love. Next question. Advice on mitigating delayed onset muscle soreness. A diet that has more alkaline foods in it, more vegetables, for example. Okay, there's the old baking soda idea. Some people even combine baking soda with creatine. Now, I don't encourage people to use creatine because in my case it's hard on my kidneys, and some of you it most likely will be too. I don't encourage you to use it or not to use it, but as far as baking soda, it buffers acids. People go read about athletes using baking soda in order to run faster, further, or to lift for more reps, because what it does, it's so alkaline that it increases your alkalinity, it lowers your acidity, even in a working muscle, and you can get a bunch of extra reps before the lactic acid builds up. Now that same principle could be used after a workout to put that much alkalinity into your system so that you start correcting the acid buildup faster so you're not as sore from all those acids tomorrow. So I would advise you to research on alkalizing and the baking soda protocols that certain athletes have used in their muscles, just so you can understand acid-alkaline balance and how the soreness in your muscles is the buildup of all those acids, the metabolic byproducts of tearing up muscle. And there are ways using alkalinity as well as active recovery workouts, okay? Even from back in Arnold's day and before, guys realized that if you'll do like a feeder workout on the muscles that are really sore, it'll pump a lot of that acid out of there and it'll pump fresh new blood in there, and it will speed up your recovery and improve your growth from that intense workout you did, and it will reduce the soreness faster than if you don't do that active recovery workout, okay? So active recovery workouts to mitigate DOMS, and look into the whole process of acid alkaline buffering and using baking soda for athletes and muscles and so forth, okay? I think you'll find those two topics really interesting. Much love to you, friend. Next question. I'm a Korean citizen but will be eligible to apply for U.S. citizenship soon. This means I won't go to Korean military, which I always thought would make me grow up. In that case, what are some ways to grow up as a man? What specific things can I do? One way I try is to work a job whenever I can. Well, boy, that's such a confusing subject because you hear so many dumb things in this world about what you got to do to be a man. And clearly nobody came with a blueprint of what it really means to be a man, because you got commercials selling you the idea that being a man is about which beer you drink while you sit on your ass and watch somebody else play a sport and you sit there and say you could do it better. So the philosophies of this world on how to be a man, they're a joke. I believe that the very fact that you're interested in what it means to be a man shows me you're going to materialize into more of a man in this world than 99.99% of people. And the truth is, my friend, inside of you in your own heart is what kind of man you need to be. And you'll be the best light to this world by believing in yourself. It's not about what some other man says makes you a man. The military, for example, yeah, they'll teach you discipline, and discipline is a good trait for a man to have, but they also teach you to do what somebody else says with your life, to not have charge over yourself, to go kill who you're told to kill and go die when you're told to die. Now, me personally, I don't consider that very manly. I consider that what boys do, because I fought and died in wars in other lives, but I can't get into that. I've been that kid, okay? They will tell you you're being a big man and it's all glorious to go off and kill for your country, but then you get out there in the trenches and you find that's all a lie. And old men are taking advantage of young men. The old men don't go out there and fight. They take all the land that you get for them by killing other kids and dying for them. So I don't consider that being a man at all. I consider looking inside yourself and understanding that there's no one in this world better than you to decide what kind of a man you really are. That's how you become a real man, my friend. At least as far as how I experience it, okay? Believe in your inner vision more, and who cares what anybody else thinks about it? A real man is somebody who is who he decides to be, and he doesn't let all the naysayers stop him, okay? And I know you have that power within you, man. I can feel it. And I hope you make it to the U.S., and I hope you don't get stuck in the military, because I believe you can look inside you and find a better vision of what kind of man to be than just a soldier who kills who he's told to kill, okay? So that's my thoughts on that. Much love to you, my friend. Much appreciation. What would you recommend to get lean, not ripped? Say about 15% and keep thickness, etc. Thanks, my friend. Oh, this is amazing me. You unsubscribed today, so you don't want an answer to that. You're busy hating and fucking playing victim, and no matter what I tell you, you're not going to use it. You're just going to be a victim anyway. Plus that question, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. To get ripped, to get lean but not ripped. I don't know, man. Eat a diet that leans you out a little bit. Okay? I know you're silently listening as a hater anyway, and I know you're not going to use anything I tell you, but that vague question, I guess I'll just answer it that way in case anybody can put that to use. Eat a diet that suits your physiology a little bit more so you digest a little more efficiently and you don't jack your blood sugar up with the wrong food combinations, and you'll lean out. You'll recomp a bit, just like I answered earlier, okay? Next question. How did you discover you could channel? Okay, this goes on the other channel, my friend. Neck curls. Actually, yeah, go ask that on my channeling channel, because I don't think I've directly really maybe told that story as well as I could, my friend. But over here, it's just going to, certain people here might find it interesting, others would find it freaky, and, oh, it's the devil, Bobby, and then they'll all run away and shit. So I don't, I can't do that, brother. And I love you, Neck Curls, and I know you know about my other channel. We've been friends, since pretty much the beginning. So, the beginning of, the last channel. So please post that on the other channel where we can really elaborate it on a way that's enriching and everybody can enjoy, all right? Much love, my friend. Best bulking foods on a budget. What is the Nethers diet like? Well, as I said yesterday, I'm in transition. I don't have a diet right now, but I will update when I've got some kind of new diet that I'm settled into for me. But understand, even then, it's going to be designed to my metabolism and lifestyle. But I'll still share it with you guys. Best bulking foods on a budget. Organic peanut butter, as long as you're not allergic to it. Nothing packs on the mass is easy. And if you don't like sitting there and lumping down peanut butter in scoops, put it in a blender with a little bit of water and some kind of nice healthy substance that flavors it better, and drink a few of those per day. You can pack down a shit ton of protein and fats and a little bit of carbs and some minerals like magnesium and other minerals that are in nuts and seeds. Tahini's a good one too if you don't like the flavor of peanut butter. But to me, on a budget, just get organic and don't get that shit with sugar in it. Mixing sugar with fats and proteins glycates the proteins. It destroys proteins in your body. It breaks down your collagens and ages you and makes you, it's just not cool to combine sugars with proteins and fats. So get an organic peanut butter with no bullshit added. Now, I don't know what your take on salt is. Some people use a lot of salt as part of their program. Some people avoid it. If you're worried about salt, get a non-salted protein or organic peanut butter. Those are my thoughts on that, my basic thoughts. Without any more information, that's just some basic guidelines you could use. Okay, last one for today, guys. Hi, Nether. I can sheet curl much more weight than I can push press. Is that a problem? Should I try to fix this? You know what? In my early days, it was the same way. I was in the gym cheat curling like, 225 on a barbell, and I couldn't bench it, So, I wouldn't say it's a problem, but it is something you want to balance. Because when you're much stronger at pulls than you are pushing, over time, this eventually leads to posture issues. For example, if your biceps get way, way stronger than your triceps, down the line, because I did this, you'll find that your mind-muscle connection to your triceps sucks, and it's much harder to learn how to train them and get them to catch up with your biceps. So the earlier you start correcting those imbalances, the better. There's nothing wrong with being real strong at curls, but you definitely need to I'm not saying what you need to do. I mean, do whatever you want. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. But in the long run, it is wiser to start correcting that imbalance now. It'll be easier if you start addressing it now than it will if you wait for 10 years, okay? So that's my 2 cents on that, my friends. That's the Q&A for today. Again, whoever timestamps this, you can have a free Nether Better upgrade, or you can decide a video for me to do on this channel. So let me know. Much love to all. Over and out for now. I love this, Jedis. I love this. I love how much... I love what we're building here together. And it's all of us together, man. Much love and appreciation. Over and out till next time. The Force is with you!